Hey guys, Theron Asbury here with Revital Outdoors, bringing you another exciting podcast. Tonight we have Mr. Mike Quinlin from the great state of Indiana. Mike got a top 5 finish last year at the Hoosier Division BFL tournament on Patoka Lake. That same tournament's coming up this weekend, so we're going to get to hear from a top 5 angler from last year what he predicts for this year. Lake Patoka in Indiana is not a lake a whole lot of guys have heard of, but we're very excited to talk to Mike, and he's going to give us a little bit more details about the lake and about the tournament this coming weekend. Before we get started, Revital Outdoors is still very excited to announce we are featuring a $2,500 giveaway for our angling enthusiasts. That lucky angler will be selected at the end of the year. All you have to do is see the rotating banner below this video. Hit that link at the top of the description right below this video. It takes 3 seconds to enter in. Once you get in, you will be eligible to win the prize package at the end of the year. We've got great companies such as Revital Outdoors, Cigar Line, Costa Del Mar, the Rod Glove, Tackle Warehouse, Strike King and Lose on board with this giveaway. So this is definitely not a package that any angler out there wants to miss out on. Subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't already. Check us out on Facebook and Instagram. That's Revital Outdoors. And if you've never heard of Revital Outdoors, we're a premium CBD company. Our products are great for combating all the different ailments out there that the outdoor enthusiasts face, whether it be back and shoulder discomfort, aches, soreness, anxiety, joint discomfort, trouble with your hands, cramping up at the end of the day of fishing, anything like that. That's what CBD is really, really great for, as well as anxiety reduction. Check them out on our website. You can purchase them directly off our website. That's revitaloutdoors.com. Very important to remember that we are committed to being a worker-friendly brand. Revital Outdoors products are THC-free and made right here in America. That being said, let's go ahead and get right into the podcast, bringing Mike Quinlin into the studio now. Mike, how you doing this evening, bud?
Doing great.
Doing good. I really appreciate you coming on to the podcast, taking time out of your busy schedule. I know you're getting ready for a tournament this weekend, so, man, let's get right into it. Tell us a little bit more about Lake Patoka. I looked up your record on Major League Fishing. You've got a pretty good resume from Patoka, so let's just get right into it. What's so special about Patoka, especially in the month of May, and maybe a little bit about your tournament last year?
Well, Patoka typically has some fairly clean water, and when it comes to spawn time, you can see them. And that's one of my favorite times of the year is when you can see them on the beds. I feel like if I can see it, I can probably catch it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So really that month of May, do you think it's still all 3 stages of the spawn, or really they're going to be locked in? A lot of guys are going to be up shallow looking at them.
I'll tell you what, this year's really been a strange year. It seems like every week we've had a cold snap.
Mm-hmm.
Typically you'll get rolling waves of fish coming in, maybe 2 or 3 different waves of fish over the spring, but we haven't had a wave yet of fish come up and spawn. I think this is going to be a huge wave right now come up spawn. I think we'll be looking at a lot of fish shallow.
Come Saturday. You think there'll be a lot of new fish, meaning the guys in practice, they're probably going to be finding some really good areas, but on Saturday they could be seeing some bonus fish that moved up over the night.
I think you got fish moving up every day, and maybe even a few that'll be guarding or maybe moving back out already. It's been warm for quite a few days here now, and we've got some great weather, some clear water. We're going to have some clouds Saturday, chance of rain, so that's going to hurt the sight fishing a little bit. As long as we don't get a big rain, I think we're going to have a great tournament.
Good for you, Mike. Mike, tell us a little bit about how you try to attack the spawn on Patoka. Are you a guy that likes to cover a lot of water, throwing a reaction bait until you know where one is, up on a bed, a good fish? You kind of fish your way there. Or are you going straight, point to point to point where you have bed fish locked on a bed?
I don't make a cast till I see a fish. I don't waste any time in between fish. I go from fish to fish, and I try to read a fish the first cast or 2 and decide whether it's catchable or not. If it stays locked on the bed, it's probably catchable. But if it leaks, does is scared of the bait, it's probably not a catchable fish, at least not at that time.
Absolutely. I've fished many, many tournaments, especially growing up in Oklahoma and Arkansas as a co-angler around that spawn time. And, that's really the best way I've learned how to catch a fish off a bed. And one thing I've learned, and I'm not saying anything negative about the boaters I've had, they've all been great, But I've been with boaters that want to spend 2 to 3 hours on a fish, and a good fish, 3 or 4 pounder, that's a good fish in that region. But as soon as they flip in on the bed, the fish just ping, they're gone. As soon as they see or feel something hit that surface. And to me, that's just not a catchable fish. There's no even way, you wait for that fish to circle back around. It may take 5 minutes. As soon as they see a bait in their bed, they're gone again. Like that, to me, they're just not committed.
That's a fish that I'm probably not going to spend much time on at all. One cast probably in most cases, but that may be a fish that I come back and visit later in the day.
Later in the day,
I've seen them lock on within a couple hours to where you can't run them out of bed, and they'll bite then.
I got you. So everyone has their own recipe of baits to throw on a bedfish. We're not going to get into that. I don't want to get into colors or baits or anything. I know you got a tournament coming up, but just out of curiosity, one of the tips that anglers have been really focused on in the last couple of years, especially since the Bassmaster and MLF Live has come on board, anglers can really see what the pros are doing, is flipping multiple baits into the fish. It seems like you can agitate them a little better when they're seeing different baits, different presentations throughout the course of trying to catch them. How many rods do you have on the deck when you're sight fishing?
I'm probably going to have about 5 rods and about 5 different color baits.
Okay.
But I'll have a whole pile of different baits on the front where I can easily switch out bait to bait. And sometimes it seems like a different color will just fish biting just almost instantly.
Absolutely. So that's great information. Looking forward to this tournament this weekend on Patoka, what do you think weight wise it's going to take?
I think I had something like 14 last year, and it was somewhere in the upper teens, I believe, to win. I look for it to be more this year, probably 20, maybe 20 plus.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got you. Okay. So someone's going to break that 20-pound mark. I've looked at the results on Patoka in the years past. That's kind of hard to do. But then again, I think this tournament, and I will throw this out there for the tournament anglers, it's not something I really want to mention, but let's just go ahead and, the facts are the facts. We do have a new moon coming this weekend. That's going to be a huge factor. The weather's not going to be a great factor. But regardless, there is a new moon coming. And, man, I just think you guys are going to hit it just right. I think that 20-pound bag could potentially be caught.
Yep, I completely agree. I think it's going to be a great tournament. Lots of fish caught. Looking forward to it.
Absolutely, Mike. So we know that you like to sight fish. Let's take a step in a different direction. Let's say you're a co-angler in this event. You draw it with your co-angler. He's never been to Patoka, not really sure what to bring. As a fellow co-angler competitor myself, there's a lot of negativity thoughts, a lot of negativity drawbacks to drawing with a guy that's going to sight fish all day. I personally like it. I've learned how to put the variables in my, positive side of thinking. I like it. I'm a Carolina rig guy. I'm a wacky worm guy. That being said, what's your biggest suggestion to a co-angler that you draw out with to stay positive and put himself in a position to just get bites throughout the day? Because as a co-angler, size doesn't matter. The bites is what matters as a co-angler. What would you tell a co-angler in that situation?
I had a young man, a high schooler from Ohio, fish with me last year, and I can't remember his name, but he never caught a fish all day, and I felt bad for him, but that's kind of the sight fishing deal, when you're bed fishing. But he looked me up at a later tournament, and he come up, he wanted to shake my hand. He says, I learned so much about sight fishing with you. He says, I went home to Grand Lake St. Mary's, and I won the very next tournament that taught me on sight fishing. That kind of felt good. So if nothing else, if paired with a boater that try to learn something, if possible. I know it's a tough day, and the guy in front of you is locked down on fish and he's trying to catch. But I think the weightless Cinco, the wacky worm, and fish for those fish that are cruising just outside your sight range. There's fish there. I mean, those fish that there's fish that's coming. There's fish that's going. Try to pick up those fish while there's
Absolutely. You know, and another thing I've learned about fishing in the spawn is not all fish go extremely shallow to spawn. There's some fish that'll spawn 5 to 10 feet that boater's never going to see. You're not going to see them either as a co-angler. But if you drag that finesse jig, that Carolina rig, chances are you could, potentially drag it over its bed and get a bite.
I just got back from the Toyota uh, Central Division tournament on Chickamauga last week, and fished for total bedded fish both days. And my co-anglers were catching fish, catching keepers with me. Um, they no problem. There were so many fish on the bed that if I caught one and moved down the bank a little bit, they were catching second fish, that were bedded right next to it. So yeah, there's going to be multiple fish. Just look around. A good pair of glasses, a pair of solar bats, to me are critical. I wear an amber lens on looking in the water and seeing fish. So if you're a co-angler, make sure you got a good pair of glasses where you can see in the water. Good pair of polarized glasses.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The other tip I'd give co-anglers out there as a fellow co-angler myself, and Mike, I think you'll appreciate this, is, one of the things that I was given a tip from a guy named Todd Lee, who's won the co-angler side of the Angler of the Year, and he's won the Forest Wood Cup twice as a co-angler. The dude's amassed over $700,000 as a co-angler. Unbelievable co-angler. And one of the things he told me at Beaver Lake one time is I drew out with an angler, and I won't mention his name, but he's made a really great career for himself, is I was really bummed because I heard this boater was not really co-angler savvy. And I'm thinking, man, I'm doing good in points. I don't know how today's going to be. And Todd looked at me at the ramp that morning, and he could tell I was distraught. And make a long story short, he told me, he said, Darren, here's the deal. Go out there, say as little as possible. Don't make a lot of big movements if he's sight fishing. Really try to constructive criticize him, give him good coaching tips, be on his level, be on his side. And when he gets his 5 fish, you never know what that's going to do for you. And so I did that. I took his advice. I went out there. I was positive. I didn't move around a lot. I didn't open up compartments, bang around in my box. I put a wacky worm in my hand, and I really tried to focus on helping him as much as I could. And when he landed his 5th keeper off a bed, it was about 10:30 in the morning, and he looked at me and said, I really appreciate you not getting agitated at the fact that I'm sight fishing. I will make sure you have fish by the end of the day. And as he was going around the different coves looking for different fish that could have helped him, he would see fish on beds, and he would back the boat around and power pole down and literally tell me, you get 15 minutes to try to catch that fish, and I'll do everything I can to help you. And by the end of the day, I was sitting in the top 20 in the tournament. I had 5 fish. He had 5 fish. We became lifelong friends. And that's something I want to tell co-anglers out there is if you give the alternative to your boater and realize he's in this, he's got a lot more money on the line, your fate is kind of in his hands. If you stay out there, stay positive, help him every way you can, you never know where that could lead you. Is every boater going to do that? Probably not. But you never know what could, end up at the end of the day.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's great advice.
So, well, Mike, really appreciate you coming on to the podcast. Before we let you go, I did a little research on you through Facebook. You got a lot of great family, great support system there in Indiana. Anybody you'd like to give a shout out to or a thank you, maybe any sponsors that help you out before we let you go?
Well, I'd like to thank Mercury Motors, Phoenix Boats, Honey Creek, Bait Tackle and Marine. Those guys really water, fish a lot. So it takes a lot of support to keep me in water. And all those guys, they really going.
Good deal. So, well, Mike, really appreciate you coming on the podcast again. Again, for all listeners out there, you've been talking to Mr. Mike Quinlin, a top 5 angler from the BFL Hoosier Division tournament last year on Lake Patoka. Again, that same tournament's coming up this weekend. So good luck to all the anglers fishing not only the BFLs this year, but especially the Hoosier Division this weekend. Be safe out there, guys. Sounds like there's weather coming in, so be mindful of that. Be safe out there, but most of all, have fun. Remember why God created the sport of fishing for us and put this resource out there for us to enjoy. Before we let everybody go, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Also, check out our $2,500 sweepstakes giveaway. You've been watching the rotating banner below. Hit that link at the top of the description right below this video. That gets you in on that giveaway. Again, that lucky angler will be selected to win that package at the end of the year. From all of us at Revital Outdoors, I'm Darren Asbury. Thank you for tuning into this podcast. Be safe out there. God bless everybody. We'll talk to everyone very, very soon.